So I'm going to make caramel squares. So to make the caramel squares, I need a base, and I use this shortbread recipe to make the base. And then this is the recipe for the caramel squares. So we need one shortbread mix cooked and which is pressed into a 9x9 baking tin or whatever size you have. You need then the caramel topping, and this is the recipe here for the caramel topping, and this is how to make it. So back first of all to the shortbread. So we have the 225 grams of unsalted butter. So we need butter, we need 110 grams of caster sugar, and we need 225 grams of plain flour and 110 grams of corn flour. So I have beat the butter and the sugar together till they're nice and creamy here in the bowl, and I'm going to add the sieved flour and corn flour. So you just let the mix keep going till it all comes together. It's almost ready. So I have rolled the pastry out roughly the size of the tin. Now you don't have to roll it out. You could put the mix into the tin and then just press it down with your hands, but I prefer to roll it out. Now when I'm lifting it, and I'll use the rolling pin, it may break. That doesn't matter. You can press it all into the bottom of the tin. So that's it in the tin. Now it didn't break. So what I'm going to do, just finishing it off, I'm just going to press it down tightly into the bottom of the tin. You could use the back of a spoon for this if you wanted. So just keep pressing it until it covers the base. And then I'm going to prick it over with a fork and bake it in the oven. And it probably won't take any more than about 15 minutes. So that's it, ready to go into the oven. And I've set the oven at 160 and I'm going to do 15 minutes. I always use the timer without fail, I'd forget the time. So while that's the base is cooking, I'm going to make the caramel topping. So to make the caramel topping, you'll need butter, sweetened condensed milk. I'll show you that again. So this is sweetened condensed milk. Evaporated milk won't do, so it has to be sweetened condensed milk. Sugar and golden syrup. So to make the caramel, that's the recipe. So here's the recipe: the 200 grams of butter, 3 tablespoonfuls of caster sugar, 4 tablespoonfuls of golden syrup, and a tin of condensed milk. So I'll start by melting the sugar, the 4 tablespoonfuls of syrup and 3 tablespoonfuls of sugar in a saucepan. So I've melted the sugar, the syrup. I just melted it, the sugar, the syrup and the butter. And now I'm going to add the tin of condensed milk. So you need to keep stirring this continuously until it all comes together and then boils, and you keep boiling it until it comes the caramel colour that you prefer. Just to tell you a wee story, this is the very first job that I done whenever I was still at school. So I was about 14, and after school I went to work in a local bakery, and I would have stood on a box at a gas ring and measured up all the ingredients and basically stood stirring it, and it was about twice the size of this saucepan here, and I kept stirring and stirring until this was ready. And then it was poured over the shortbread base. Now the other thing that I can tell you is that I don't think I would let a 14-year-old do it, because whenever this starts to boil, this is boiling sugar and it is really, really hot and really dangerous. So unless you're confident that your 14-year-old won't burn themselves, then certainly let them do it. The other thing is that you need to use a wooden spoon or something similar. A metal spoon will not do. It just will stick. So you need to keep stirring and stirring and stirring. Otherwise it will stick and you will get brown burnt bits in your caramel. So it does take longer to make this and you must stay with it. So my shortbread base is nearly ready. I couldn't get the tin opened, so that kept me back a bit. Hardly ever use a tin opener anymore, and this one had got a bit sticky. So you can see it has all come together now. So it's going to come up to the boil very soon, but you must keep stirring it all the time. Once it starts to caramelise, you'll feel it sticking. You'll feel it starting to go, so just keep stirring and stirring and stirring. So this is starting now to turn colours. You can start to see just wee tiny bits of caramel there in it, and it'll all gradually. Now I started off with it on the highest, but I've turned it down now. But you need to keep stirring and stirring and stirring and letting it boil just gently, or it will stick. Takes a bit of work with this, just to prevent it from sticking. So we're starting to turn the caramel colour. Now I can tell you I've been stirring this for about 15 minutes, so bear with it. I have kept the heat a sort of half the number. So the numbers on my cooker top, and I'm doing it with electric, is 1 to 9. I started off at number 9, which is the boiling, brought it to the boil and kept it at number 9, continuously stirring, and then I turned it down to 5. Now you will now and again, if you think it's sort of starting to turn a wee bit too quick, or just bits of it are sticking, either take it off the heat or turn down your ring. But it will. This is not ready, so this is the stage it's at now. So don't be despondent. Keep with it and be patient. I think that's all I can tell you. So it's taken me half an hour to get to this stage because I've been cautious. If you could boil it quicker, but it may stick. So if you've got a really thick base saucepan and you feel happy to do it quicker, well then give it a go. But I have been very cautious with it, and it's taken half an hour to get it to what I want. Now this is almost ready. It depends just on the depth of the colour of the caramel that you want. If you like a deeper caramelly colour, well then certainly let it boil for another 5 minutes or so, or whatever you want. You get the colour you want, but it needs to be thick like this, otherwise it won't set. So I'm going to let it go for another minute or two, and then I'm going to spread it over the base. So that's it, ready to go over the base now. Now you must spread it over the base straight away. Do not let it sit, otherwise it'll start to go solid on you and it won't spread. So I'm going to pour it over the base, and whenever I put it onto the base, I'm going to run it, move the tin back and forth, and just run it round the base so that it's all smooth. So that's it all ready. And the last thing I've got to do, we'll let it sit and cool first, and then I'm going to melt some chocolate and put it over the top. So I have melted the chocolate over a pan of simmering water, and just like the caramel, I'm going to pour it over the caramel and then just run it into the corners. So that's it on the base. So just lift your tin and let it run like that. It gives you a nice smooth caramel into each corner rather than spreading it. You can spread it if you want. And the next thing is you need to just let it set until it's ready. But whenever the chocolate is about half set, then I will mark it out with a knife to whatever size, because it makes it easier to cut. Otherwise the chocolate could crack on you. So if you don't want your chocolate to crack, just mark it then before the chocolate is set. So that's your chocolate squares. So just back again to the recipe. So there we are. We've had the shortbread mix, we've done the caramel topping, and we've topped it with melted chocolate. And well, depending on the size, I'm sure you'll get at least 12 to 15. I have used an 8 by 12 tin, and it's just perfect for that size of mix.